Hey, what's up? I'm Barrett Vickery. Welcome to another video. Today we are talking about beliefs, specifically empowering beliefs and limiting beliefs, how they work, and then how to change them. The inspiration for this video is coming from Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins, where he provides a really useful metaphor for thinking about beliefs and how they work. So if you like this video, go ahead and grab this book. It's amazing. A belief is a feeling of certainty about something. So it's an idea that we have that we feel really certain about. Now, the only way to have certainty around an idea is by developing what Tony calls references. So we can think about a belief as a table, okay? And the top of the table is an idea. So the top of the table is an idea. And so in this metaphor, an idea by itself or a table by itself without legs can't really stand, right? If it's a glass table, this glass table would fall down and shatter because it has no legs to support it. An idea turns into a belief when we add legs to it, okay? So let's say that these are our 4 legs. And so now this table can stand, but it has to have the legs to support it. In the same way, the ideas that we have about ourselves and the beliefs that we have about ourselves are only beliefs because we have a lot of references to support them. So an example of a reference would be an experience or information that you've picked up in your life that is holding up an idea. So our life experiences and the information that we get throughout our life help us to create beliefs about things so that we can look at the world in a consistent way. It's actually really beneficial for our mental health to be able to develop beliefs. But the problem is that a lot of us have beliefs that don't serve us. So let's take an example of this. So let's take an idea. Let's say we have a guy here. His name is Dave. This is Dave. And Dave has the idea that he is successful. So here's Dave, and he has the idea that I am successful. Dave has the idea that he's successful, but Dave also has the belief that he's successful. So why is that? So let's look at the legs that are causing Dave to believe that he is successful. Let's say that Dave makes over $100,000 a year. So by many barometers of success in our society, that's pretty successful, right? He makes $100,000 a year or more every single year. So he makes $100,000 a year. So this helps him to support this idea that I am successful. Dave also really went to a really good school, right? Good school. So Dave is really smart, okay? He believes that he's smart. He went to a good school and he got good grades while he was at that school, okay? So he makes $100,000, he went to a good school. People come to Dave and ask him for advice. So Dave does mentoring. So other people come to Dave for advice on how to be successful. This type of social proof helps him to develop the belief that he is successful. What's one last thing? Can be really simple. He drives a BMW, okay? He really likes his car. Okay, he thinks it's the coolest car in the world. Now we have these 4 legs that are helping support this belief that I am successful. Dave makes a lot of money. He went to a good school. Other people ask him for advice on how to become successful. And then he also drives a really cool BMW. Okay, so he has these 4 supporting legs that help support his belief that I am successful. Now, the key to what makes these legs supportive is that what Tony says that the strength of a reference, the strength of a leg, depends on the level of emotion and repetition with which that leg is supported, okay? So the amount of experiences and information points that we have that support this leg, okay? So he sees all over the place that if he makes over $100,000 a year, makes him successful. He's had a lot of people that have come up to him and tell him he drives a cool car, plus maybe he's gotten a couple dates out of it. There's a lot of people that have come into him and asked him for success, and he has a lot of that social proof. And also, he worked really hard in school, so he knows now that he's a hard worker, and hard work is a part of success. And so he has a lot of proof that he is successful. Now, what happens if Dave loses his job and he loses all his money and his car, okay? So let's say that Dave loses the $100,000 a year job, and now he is only living off savings. He's starting to lose money really fast. He has to give away his car. He has to sell his car and buy a cheaper car. So now he's making $0 a year, and he has cheap car. So now these two legs are no longer supporting the idea that I am successful. So although he went to a good school, and let's say that the mentoring stops happening. People stop coming to him because they see that his life is kind of getting messed up, okay? So now Dave only has his education, right? But that's not gonna be enough to keep this table up, right? And so this table is no longer so supported anymore. So what happens? Dave's belief that he is successful starts to fall apart. And unless he does something to help build that belief and maintain that belief could fall apart, which could have catastrophic effects for him. It could cause him to not have the courage to go do his own business after he gets laid off from his job. It could cause him to not believe in himself, to have low self-esteem, to have anxiety and depression, right? So this is the key here, understanding that beliefs are supported by references. Beliefs can be created about anything. We can create beliefs about literally anything under the sun, as evidenced by like the flat earth movement and all these other crazy, other movements and theories out there, right? We can create beliefs about everything. All that matters is the level of emotion repetition that we attach to the evidences and experiences that we have related to that belief. So if the belief is the earth is flat, and you have a bunch of evidence that you saw on YouTube and a bunch of people that are really excited about this, and they got you really excited, and you think about all these things, and then you have conversations with people about why the earth is flat and all that type of stuff, it starts to really enforce that belief. These legs start to get really strong because you're repeating and strengthening them through repetition and emotion. The beliefs in the legs, the references, don't even have to be accurate or real. The only thing that matters is our perception of them. Probably the most dangerous part about all this is that we forget that these things aren't even real, that these are kind of opinions. We forget that all of the legs are not necessarily real. We forget to question them. And so a negative belief like I am a loser, you start to believe that that is real because you're no longer questioning the references that are supporting the belief. In order to remove a limiting belief, one of the things that we can do to undermine it, so let's say we have a limiting belief of I am a loser. I am a loser. You don't make very much money. Let's say you're unemployed, you drive a cheap car, you didn't go to a good school. So this person, this isn't Dave, this is Davey. It's a different person. This is Davey, okay? Now Davey has all of these different evidences. He has different legs that support the idea that he is a loser, okay? He never went to college, and he knows successful people go to college, right? People call him a loser. He has his friends tell him he's a loser all the time. He doesn't have any social support. He doesn't have any money. He's unemployed, and he drives a really cheap car. So he believes that he's a loser. And furthermore, his belief that he is a loser causes him to have real trouble changing any of this, right? It's very hard to change yourself. If people are calling you a loser all the time, you think that having no money makes you a loser, etc. It's hard for you to have dates and all that different type of stuff. And so Davey is stuck in this loop where he believes that he's a loser, and then these legs keep getting stronger and stronger because he keeps adding more of them. Not only now do people call him a loser, but now he's 35 plus, and he still hasn't figured out what he wants to do with his life. Right? And now whatever it is, okay? Now he's in debt, he has credit card debt, whatever. So he has all of these other legs that start to get built that cause him to believe that he is a loser. If we want to change this belief and start to hurt this, right? We want to get rid of this belief that I am a loser. We got to get Davey to believe that he is no longer a loser. In order to do that, we have to use objective thinking. So objective thought, and logic. To undermine these legs, okay? So let's use objective thought and logic on the cheap car thing in relation to I am a loser. So Davey drives a cheap car, but maybe, it's good. He's being economical. The car has a small engine. It gets pretty good gas mileage, so he's not hurting the environment as much. Maybe that helps him to feel a little bit better about the cheap car that he drives. He has no money. Well, a lot of people start from zero, right? A lot of people start with no money. And some of the biggest millionaires in the world have these stories where they have massive success coming from nothing, right? So maybe that's not such a bad thing. Maybe it's actually beneficial to him to have no money because that means he's hungry, right? So objective thought and logic. We're changing the perspective that we're looking at each of these legs through. People call me a loser. Well, maybe that person was just having a bad day. Maybe the person that called you a loser is having a bad day. Maybe they're a loser and they're projecting it upon you. No school. A lot of successful people didn't go to school. A lot of people have like 6th grade educations. If there's somebody else that did it, that means that potentially you could do it too. So maybe Davey starts to change his mindset. He starts to change the way that he looks at all these, and he starts to cut off these legs, right? And once he does that, the belief that he is a loser starts to fall apart. One way you can do it is by undermining the limiting beliefs that you have. You can also create better beliefs. The way to create better beliefs is to add legs to an idea that you want to create, okay? To add legs, so let's take again, I am successful. All right, so we have the idea that we want to install into our minds and turn into a belief that I am successful. Because we know that through creating the belief that we are successful, it's a lot more likely that we'll actually get to that long-term success that we're seeking, right? So the way that we develop the belief then is to add legs to it. And the key to this is that your brain and your neurophysiology does not know the difference between your real life experience and thoughts that you are imagining, okay? So all of your imagined thoughts, like biologically, your brain doesn't know the difference between them. So that's the first key. Your brain doesn't know the difference between imagined experience and real experience. So we want to create these legs. So let's create the same exact legs that Dave had. So I'm trying to create the same belief that I am successful using the same exact legs that our friend Dave was using earlier that supported his belief that he was successful. But the problem is I don't have any of those things. I don't make $100,000 a year. My education isn't that great, maybe. No one is coming to me for advice right now, and I don't drive a BMW. So all of the things that Dave had evidence of that made him successful, I don't have any of, right? So I'm starting from zero, but I want to still create the belief that I am successful. So how do I do that? The key to building these strong references and legs is through repetition and emotion, okay? So we want to create really powerful emotions and do it over and over again and condition ourselves to believe that this stuff is true. And again, remember that your brain and your mind don't know the difference between imagined and real life, right? And so the way that we install these beliefs is that if BMW means I'm successful, then I can imagine myself driving a BMW every day. I can practice driving a BMW in my mind, right? So you can visualize yourself driving the BMW. And you can add emotional intensity to this. So this isn't just sitting there thinking about it. It's visualizing with intent and getting emotion behind it, right? And so we're using all of the tools that we have to help build the emotion. We want to get our emotion high. So the higher the emotion, the better we're able to install different beliefs, okay? So get our emotion high. I can develop the emotion that I make $100,000 a year. I can think about all of the things that I would have if I made that much money, how I would feel if I made that much money, etc. I can imagine mentoring people. I can think about it in my mind, what I would say to somebody if they came and asked me a question, right? Good education. Maybe I can't afford to go back to college, but you know what? I can become an expert in my field, right? Maybe I can read a bunch of books. Maybe I can have real life experiences that are outside of visualization, and those real life experiences will help me to build that belief. Through reading a bunch of books, I develop the education that's important to me that makes me successful. Maybe I mentor people for free so I get more of those reps, right? And so you can see that you can add more legs to this as well. Maybe giving away money. Maybe you think successful people give away money. Maybe you do some charity work, right? And then you can add a bunch of legs to it. successful people invest, right? So maybe you start investing. Okay, so then you can add a bunch of legs to these, and you can add practices and conditioning, right? You condition stuff like this. You don't have the BMW yet, but you can imagine that you do. You can create the positive emotion that you think you would feel if you had that car. You can imagine the $100,000 or anything else on here. You can go out and take preliminary action to help you build that new belief. So the key to this is that it's not about money, right? It's about developing beliefs that make you feel better and make you feel happy. Okay, I hope that this makes some sense, right? We have our belief that we're trying to build, and then you're adding legs to it. And for limiting a beliefs, you're trying to cut those legs off by looking at them objectively. So this is the key. It's adding a bunch of supporting evidence and supporting experiences to the belief that you want to create. And for negative beliefs or limiting beliefs, you try and cut those legs off, or you try and weaken them. Okay, so even if it's a very real experience, people really did bully you and call you a loser in high school, right, or whatever. Like, even if that's a very real experience, see if you can change your perspective on that experience so that you can weaken that leg and have the idea eventually come down. I hope you found this video helpful. I love this idea and I think it's really cool. I encourage you to start to ponder and think about some limiting beliefs that you might have. And what are some legs that are propping those up? What are some experiences and some ideas that you have that are propping those things up? And how can you weaken them? How can you look at those legs and weaken them a little bit through shifting your perspective? And then think about what empowering beliefs you would like to create, and then what evidence you can add to that. What practices can you visualize? What affirmations can you use? What actions can you take that would help you to build that belief? Thank you so much for watching this video or listening to this audio. Go ahead and like and subscribe to all my social media channels. I'm on Instagram and YouTube. Share this with a friend who you think would enjoy it and need it. Because the truth is, we need more people that have empowering beliefs rather than limiting beliefs. Remember, it doesn't matter whether or not a belief is true. What matters is whether or not it is empowering to you or not. So if you have a bunch of limiting beliefs and beliefs that don't serve you, it doesn't matter if they're true. In fact, they're probably not. They're probably just a function of your perception and then you forgetting that you have the ability to change the beliefs that you have, okay? So toss out those limiting beliefs, figure out what they are, cut those legs off, cut off all that supporting junk that is keeping that belief alive, and then build new beliefs so that you can crush your goals and live a life that you want. In the end, this is about happiness and becoming the person that you want to be. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.